Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm SocietySucks and today I'm checking out This Country is 17% Fake by Jay and Mark. I'm not exactly sure what they mean by fake and what country this is gonna be about, but we'll see.
There's a saying in Dutch, God schept de aarde, maar de
Oh,
Nederlanders
it's about the
schept de
Netherlands,
Nederland.
okay.
Another saying in Dutch is, wij smachten naar 88 prachtige nachten bij 88 prachtige grachten. Today's program is about how the Netherlands picked a fight with the sea and
so
won.
it's about how they...
Welkom bij Kaartelen.
Okay.
Wij zijn de mannen and here is de kaart.
So that's what they mean by fake. It's how the Dutch were basically reclaiming land from the sea.
If you spend an afternoon browsing Holland,
The Netherlands.
on satellite view, you'll notice something a little odd. This bit looks pretty normal and European. Lots of green, lots of zigzaggy roads, lots of narrow fields at wonky angles.
But
Yeah.
as soon as you cross this road, the
And then it
countryside
doesn't look
suddenly turns
normal.
unusually light brown, with unusually rigid, perfect rectangles and houses
Yeah.
spaced out with uncanny
It's
soulless
because that land
regularity.
is...
Curiosity peaked,
Fake.
we turn the clock back to 1945, and it's gone.
Curiosity peaked further. You compare a map of present-day Netherlands to one from 1300 and notice that a whopping 7,000 square kilometres of land, roughly 17% of the whole country, has been conjured out of thin water.
What would you like to know first, how or why?
Why?
Because I thought it was polite to
Well, I mean,
ask.
the why is
Why?
pretty obvious.
Here's
It's
why.
just more space, more
Thousands of years ago,
territory.
when settlers came to these low or nether lands, they found fertile soil, plentiful fish stocks, and abundant water resources.
But there was a catch.
The lowness of the land meant that the coastline kept changing. One year the coastline
Yep.
was here, the next year it was here, and the year after that it was here.
This level of unpredictability of wetness was no way to live.
And so, to keep their feet dry, the Dutch took action.
They invented clogs?
No. First, they built dikes. Dikes are big walls to stop water going where it oughtn't. If you put them next to wet things like rivers and lakes, you can stay dry on the other side of them.
Next, they built windmills. If you put an Archimedes
I wonder
screw
how
in water
effective
and
those
connect it
dikes
to a
were.
windmill, when the blades turn, the screw scoops the water out, turning it into useful dry land for growing plants and cows.
These patches of X-water were called polders.
The Dutch put hundreds of little polders everywhere and became the nation that was best at land reclamation in the world.
Whilst the thousands of
Just over 1,000.
windmills across the landscape were very pretty,
I wonder if
and
there's
became
any
Dutch
other
icons
countries
like
that have done a
bikes,
similar
Edam,
thing as the
tulips,
Netherlands
stroopwafels, sensible urban
with
planning, sex
reclaiming-
shows, chocolate sprinkles, and
with
deal or no
reclaiming
deal. They were
land.
not enough, and the sea fought back.
The problem was specifically this. The Zuiderzee was an inlet of the North Sea, taking a roughly 2,000 square mile scoop out of the north of the Netherlands, though its size did vary due to tides and storms.
Why are we talking about a sea in the past tense?
You'll see.
Ooh.
Everything about the Zuiderzee made it the worst possible sea to live next door to if you didn't like being flooded.
The Zuiderzee broke through the dikes and flooded people's
just
homes
constant
practically
floods,
every
huh?
5 minutes, and there was no windmill in the world, not even one that span really, really fast, that could stop it. But there was a man who thought he could.
Cornelis Lely was a student of civil engineering at the Polytechnic School of Delft, who absolutely hated the sea.
And this is a picture of the sea.
His dream was to get rid of the sea once and for all. And it turned out he wasn't alone.
Various visionaries had all come up with variations of the same idea, to build an enormous dam across the Zuiderzee and turn it into a harmless lake full of polders, dramatically shortening the nation's
Yeah,
coastline.
I don't know about
Of course,
that.
none of them ever came close to being built. They were little more than fantastically unrealistic concept art.
That's
But Cornelis,
way
with
too
his
much.
engineering expertise,
How difficult would it be to even build something that massive? I mean, just think about all the resources you would need and how deep is that? I mean, obviously it's shallow, but obviously it's still going to be challenging.
realised that
So yeah,
with modern
it's just a
19th century
fantasy.
technology and building materials, this dream dam was actually technically possible.
Technically.
Cornelis Lely got to work on a plan that was full of real-world detail, like hydrological data to calculate the best possible position for the dam, a sluicing system to let the fresh water out from the rivers, a list of the construction materials, and, perhaps cleverest of all, a survey of seabed sediment, so the new polders would be located where the soil would be as profitable as possible.
To make his unhinged dream to delete the sea become a reality, Cornelis went into politics
delete
and
the
was
sea.
soon appointed Minister for Transport and Water Management.
He was now finally ready to submit his Zuiderzee Works master plan before Parliament.
But Parliament turned it down. Cornelis's dam was too damn expensive.
Yeah.
And they worried that fishermen, whose livelihoods depended on catching saltwater fish, would lose their livelihoods.
Would not be happy.
No fish for sale here!
It seemed Cornelis's dream was dead in the water. Until...
I mean, yeah, it's true. Obviously, there's a lot to gain by building that dam, but there's also some stuff to lose. And it's expensive. It would be expensive as hell because it's a massive project. And it would take years, if not decades, before you actually see any return on investment. So yeah, it's not surprising they turned it down.
Oh, sorry. It seemed Cornelis' dream was dead in the water. Until, in January 1916, the Netherlands saw their worst flood in hundreds of years.
The Dutch were used to floods, of course, but this one was particularly bad timing because of the First World War.
I thought the Netherlands were neutral for World War I.
Yes, but their neighbours absolutely weren't. Germany,
yeah, exactly.
Belgium, France and Britain were so busy fighting, they stopped all international trade, and that
Pretty
meant
much.
the Dutch had to rely on...
I mean, how the hell would the Dutch manage to trade much if literally everybody around them is fighting each other on both land and sea? They're basically just stuck.
entirely on the food from their own farms.
So the flood didn't just destroy homes, it caused a massive food shortage both during and after the disaster. The Dutch were homeless, hungry and wet. In these
So even though they
conditions,
weren't at
Levy's
war,
plan
they
didn't
still
seem quite
suffered
so unhinged after
quite a
all.
lot.
And so, in 1927, 36 years after he first proposed it, Cornelis finally began work on the Afsluitdijk.
Afsluitdijk.
The dike was completed ahead of schedule in 1932. At 20 miles long, or 32 kilometres if you insist, it was the longest dike the world had ever seen. The
Damn.
Zuider Zee was a zee no more. It was now a mere, the IJsselmeer.
And now that the water was
lake.
calm and shallow, they were ready to build the biggest polders the world had ever seen.
Hundreds of farmers moved in to start their new lives working the land straight away. But then something went wrong.
Because the polder was below sea level, it was lower than the mainland, causing groundwater to flow into it and sucking the former coastland dry. This made it much less fertile and much
exactly.
less productive.
So for the next one in 1950, they changed the design.
The next polder was built in 2 stages with a thin, watery gap to make it much easier to manage the water table. This meant that the Flavor polder was technically the largest artificial island in the world, a record no one's come close to beating since.
Oh,
So,
damn.
overall, was Cornelis Lely's Zuider Zee Works project a success?
In every way imaginable, yes. When the next massive storm came in December 1953, the structure held back the sea and prevented what would have been catastrophic flooding. The Afsluitdijk paid for itself in one night.
And it's paid for itself 1,000 times more since. The value of the new polders to the Dutch economy is 20 billion euros a year.
And as for food
Jesus.
security, it went so much further than necessary. It gave the Netherlands a massive food surplus, quickly becoming the world's second largest food exporter behind
Yeah,
only
and
the
then they
United
can just
States.
export it for more
Pretty
income.
impressive for the densest country in Europe.
Fifth densest country in Europe.
Densest proper country in Europe.
Exactly.
Lely's plan was so successful.
In Europe.
Fifth densest
The densest country that isn't a micro city.
country in Europe.
Densest proper country in Europe.
Lely's plan was so successful, it even solved other problems it wasn't meant to solve, including one for Dutch drivers. Right on top of the Afsluitdijk, engineers built a motorway in the middle of the sea,
yeah.
allowing drivers to whiz from Iedzekkerheidszoom to Hippolytuzhoef in just 35 minutes. With breathtaking
Jesus,
views
those
of the sea
names
in a
are
dead straight
ridiculous.
line, a cruise along the A7 motorway is simultaneously the most thrilling and most boring drive in the world.
The Zuider Zee Works also
I can
changed
imagine.
the lives of the people of Urk.
Just
for
a
most of its
32
existence,
kilometre
was an
straight
island
road
right
with
in the middle of the Zuider Zee,
nothing around it but
isolated from the rest of
water.
the country. But now, thanks to the new polder, you could just drive there on the Urk world.
The Zuider Zee Works also changed the lives of the people of Urk.
Urk, for most of its existence, was an island right in the middle of the Zuider Zee, isolated from the rest of the country. But now, thanks to the new polder, you could just drive there on the Urk.
Yeah, now it's not even an island
Oddly,
anymore.
the Urkavik hasn't stopped Urk from still behaving like an island. Even today, it's famous for being more conservative and religious than the rest of the Netherlands, and they still have their own dialect that most Dutch people don't understand.
Excuse me, do you have the time?
Oh,
Of all the impacts of Lely's project, the biggest was one he could never have predicted. As the Dutch population exploded, but their borders didn't, the country was in desperate need of more space for people to live on. Suddenly, Flevoland,
Well, you
first
got more
intended as a
space.
giant flood barrier that could maybe house a few farms, became prime real estate.
Like Almere, which is by every measurement you can think of the Dutch Milton Keynes.
The population on these polders increased so much that in 1986 Flevoland was officially turned into the 12th province of the Netherlands, with its own local government, coat of arms, and flag terced in fest with 3 horizontal bands, a superior azure field, an inferior vert field, and a medial of reduced breadth, its waveform hoistwood half transitioning to a rectilinear flywood edge, with a stylised argent fleur-de-lis occupying the upper hoist quarter.
So, what did Cornelis Lely make of all of the Zuider Zee Works' phenomenal success?
Nothing. Cornelis Lely completely died in 1929, before even the Afsluitdijk was finished, meaning he never saw any of his plans come true and never had any idea how much he'd transformed his whole country.
Well, that
But
sucks.
he's fondly commemorated today by the people of the province he accidentally created. They named the capital
Accidentally.
city after him and turned him into a statue.
Imagine just
where he stands
accidentally
on the
creating a
Afsluitdijk
province.
To this day, staring out at the choppy waters of the North Sea.
The Dutch had proven themselves
Well, if the afterlife is real, then he can be happy looking down on the Netherlands. To know that his project was a massive success and exactly what the Netherlands needed.
the masters of land reclamation, literally laying the groundwork and showing the rest of the world how it's done.
Which inspired the rest of the world to give land reclamation a go themselves, and for all sorts of different useful reasons. 1. Airports. If your land is too lumpy for a runway, simply put it in the sea. The Japanese do it all the time.
Yeah, I've
Kansai,
seen some of the
Chubu,
Japanese ports.
Nagasaki.
2.
Airports.
Playing geopolitics. China built islands in the middle of what they now
Yeah.
call the South China Sea, so that they're technically able to claim the sea around it.
3.
Even though
Adding
everybody
extra
knows
space to
that's
coastal cities
not
with no other
a real
direction to
island.
expand. Examples include the Maldives, Singapore, and Hong, to name but 2.5.
And 4. Because they can.
Dubai, the city of brute force superlatives, has sprinkled dozens of artificial islands along its coast for luxury resorts and hotels, despite having no shortage of space inland for sensible suburbs.
Land reclamation.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that those islands over there are also like just getting destroyed. Like the one where they made a map of the world using islands. And overall, I'm quite sure that those islands are a complete failure. I read something about that, an article, or maybe I watched a video about it. I don't know. I just know it was a terrible idea, and I mean, pretty much everybody could tell you it's a terrible idea. For some reason, the Middle East is great at making projects that are terrible and useless. Like, for example, Saudi Arabia with The Line. That thing's idiotic. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. I mean, pretty much anybody with some common sense could tell you how bad that idea is. But apparently they want to start building it. But hey, at least the rest of the world can laugh at their failures. So at least something positive came out of it.
Reclamation today is increasing all over the world. Everybody's doing it. Jakarta,
Shanghai,
Manila,
Lagos,
Boston,
Vancouver,
Macau.
Mumbai. So does that mean that land reclamation is the solution to all of society's problems?
No.
And will the Netherlands of 2125 look like this?
Well, no. Land reclamation only makes sense if the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, and the disadvantages are numerous. It's really expensive,
And if it's not too
requires
expensive.
huge amounts of sand,
which the world is running out of.
it needs constant maintenance to stop it sinking, and worst of all, it upsets the fish.
There used to be water over there, now it's all gone, hasn't it? It's
That's true. Yeah, we used to like going there.
The sediment over there was lovely sediment.
Oh yeah, the sediment.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's my favourite bit. I used to say that.
It's gone now.
Yeah.
With the well-being of the world more on the world's mind than ever, even the Dutch, the original masters of land reclamation, seem to have gone off the idea. The final polder from Cornelis Lely's original plan, Markevaard,
I like that name.
was cancelled in 2003, despite the dike already being built, making it a sort of lake within a lake. Today, it's used as a freshwater reservoir and nature reserve. Perhaps the oddest thing about the process of building land in the sea where there wasn't land before is the word we use for it. Reclaimed? It makes it sound like we're taking back from the sea what's rightfully ours.
The truth is a lot more opposite. If no one was there to press the right sluice buttons and maintain the dams, the sea would quickly reclaim what it sees as rightfully its.
Perhaps the best way to prepare for the future is for humans to learn how to live underwater.
Ready to start practicing?
As they
Yeah.
say in Dutch, ik ga mijn hoofd in een emmer water steken.
Yeah, let's learn how to live on the water. You know what? Even better. Let's go one step beyond and create Bioshock in real life. I do wonder how the opinion of land reclamation is going to change because sea levels are rising. Maybe not incredibly quickly, but they are rising still. I think I once even read an article about a ridiculous project to completely reclaim the North Sea. Or at least build some sort of dam to somehow stop rising sea levels. It's one of the most ridiculous projects I've ever heard about, but apparently somebody considered that. But yeah, obviously that's never gonna happen, that's just too ridiculous, it's too expensive, no one's ever gonna go ahead with that. But yeah, the Dutch are the masters of land reclamation, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's really not much else to say here, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you want to see more reactions like this, check out this video right here, and with that, I'll see you in the next video.